Good day, brothers and sisters. Wisdom at Dawn, episode 370. Shatter illusions, eliminate bad habits, a limited understanding. In the following verse, an ignorant thought creates the three subtleties. External states lead to the 6 course marks. In flattery and illusions, we lose what is real. We must return to our pure and true nature, the state of the Tathagata. Master says our thoughts constantly arise and cease. Sometimes a single thought can cause us to give rise to ignorance and create the 3 subtleties. The 3 subtleties are part of our root of ignorance. Greed, anger, and delusions of views and thinking all arise from a single ignorant thought. These 3 kinds of subtle afflictions are constantly multiplying and produced. As one thought ceases, the next one arises. Though we may suppress the previous thought and temporarily prevent ignorance from arising, when the next thought arises, we may create ignorance again. Thus, it is like a seed which is temporarily covered by a rock. When the rock is removed, this seed will sprout. So how can we completely eliminate a weed? It is by eliminating it at the source or the seed. If we do not eliminate the seed of ignorance, then its roots will still extend outwards. And what gives rise to the seed of ignorance? Master says it is from our habitual tendencies. For example, we treat our parents rudely, and those negative words and actions come out because of our habitual tendencies. Even though we know that we should change, but yet we forget. And when the habitual tendencies are triggered, we respond loudly and rudely again, knowing we are wrong, yet the negative actions already manifested. Therefore, Master constantly reminds us that we must eliminate our habitual tendencies. If we do not, then our root afflictions will never be eliminated. As in the verse, an ignorant thought creates the 3 subtleties. They are so subtle that we cannot see or feel them, but they will manifest in our actions, leading to the 6 course marks. When afflictions arise due to external states, for example, what we heard, what we saw or felt, our habitual tendencies will cause us to react to the external environment and then manifest in our actions. And these are the 6 course marks. That means subtleties are in our minds, invisible to others. And course marks are what we express. And that's the way the mind works. It takes in external states, then reflects them like a mirror for others to see. So these are the 6 root and 6 dusts. Actually, there are 5 roots and dusts, but when the states of the 5 dusts are taken into our mind and are reflected outward for others to see, hear, and feel, this gives rise to the course marks. Master says, actually all things that are created are ultimately illusory. When we compete for wealth, do we obtain it? How much do we obtain? Can we enjoy all the wealth and property by ourselves? Think about it. In the span of a day, how much do we actually need in order to live? Not much. Yet people are greedily hoarding wealth, even though they cannot actually use all of it. Worldly possessions never truly belong to us. Water and fire are merciless. Winds and earthquakes can destroy the land and wipe out homes. So how many things are actually real? Moreover, for each of us to sustain our lives, do we really need to accumulate so many things? People who cannot think clearly may feel that even if they have a lot, they need more. And even if they have something big, they may need something bigger. So when they have wealth, they may want fame. They may want status. And this way of living is truly unbearably painful, says Master. If everything is inherently illusory, why do we allow ourselves to suffer like this? And for the sake of illusory benefits, we create karma and lose sight of the truth. Indeed, it is sad to see people like this. And for the sake of affection and love, we also create multiple afflictions and lose our morals. And this leads to unbearable suffering too. So what can we do? Well, engage in spiritual practice, of course. We do this to return to our pure and true nature, the state of the Tathagata. We must return to our state of Tathagata. We must not allow our minds to be filled with improper thoughts and views. If we are constantly immersed in them, then we will never be able to escape. We must quickly free ourselves from the 62 views that are based on illusions. Our society also has many customs passed down from long ago that are clearly immoral and unethical. For example, in India, there was a tradition that said, once the father of the household reaches 60 years old, he will be given a blanket to sleep at the doorway to guard the house. Why should this continue to be passed on? Most sentient beings are deeply attached to folk customs that do not make sense, and this leads to many false and illusory beliefs. Master says, as long as we follow and walk the right path, we will not be bound by our attachment to these false beliefs. We will be able to walk on a path that is straight, direct, true, and in line with principles. Therefore, we must always align our minds with the Buddha Dharma every moment. The 5 desires of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch are also known as the 5 arrows. These are poisonous arrows that can destroy all goodness. Even though they are not real, yet we greedily cling on to them, creating much suffering. Therefore, we must be steadfast and grounded in principle always, and not in flattery and delusion that make us lose our sense of what is real. So we must return to our pure and true nature, and therefore be mindful always.感恩 for listening in, brothers and sisters. May wisdom and inspiration be with all always.